Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the Paris Hilton documentary. So you guys have probably been seeing lots of ads for it. There was a lot of talk about it before it happened. I was kind of interested in watching it, and mainly I was interested in watching it because when I saw the trailers online, I was like, wow, she's definitely lying, because it kind of teased about something dramatic that had happened in her childhood. And I was just like, oh boy, here we go. She's probably doing this almost as a publicity stunt. Thought she was doing it maybe to get attention because the Kardashians just talked about how they're done filming after this season, no more Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I don't know, I just was really skeptical about it. And it's really funny that I was skeptical about it because when I was in high school, which was like 15 years ago or something, I was obsessed with Paris Hilton. The only reason I was obsessed with her was I loved the fact that she didn't live by people's standards and by people's rules, and she didn't care really what other people thought. No matter how ridiculous and crazy she was at the time or whatever, she almost like danced to her own music. You know what I mean? I find that so intriguing with people, is when they don't try to be something that they're not, which is really interesting because watching this documentary, she talks about, because of things that have happened to her, made her put on this front of this dumb blonde bimbo that's like super rich, doesn't do anything for herself, doesn't cook, doesn't clean, very ditzy and just like, ugh. So it's very interesting looking back at who she was 15 years ago and how she really made a name and a brand for herself compared to what this documentary basically says. So going into the documentary, she basically talks about how when she was little, her family thought she was so beautiful. They called her Star. They said that she was just like so bright and funny and silly. She was actually a huge tomboy. And then as she got a little bit older, 14, 15, she started to rebel, which is, like I said, very normal because kids at that age, they start wanting to think for themselves. They want to start making their own decisions, but they're just not quite there yet. So a lot of teenagers can really butt heads with their parents. I know I did. So she talks more about how because of that, her family was very worried about their image, how they were perceived, how they looked. And that can really take a toll on a lot of kids. You see a lot of celebrities, kids that are now becoming adults, are having a lot of issues because their parents almost were so hard on them. Like, as example, Cindy Crawford, she put her daughter on a 900-calorie diet, and her daughter now is having all these issues. And it just shows that sometimes when you put a lot of pressure on how people perceive you as a child, it can really mentally affect you. So she basically talks about that, and her family expecting more perfectionism made her almost rebel even more. So her family ends up sending her to these schools. She went to Provo Canyon School, which come out a lot of all of the claims against that school of what they have done to these children. And she goes into detail in this docu about what they did. She talks about how she has nightmares and she can't sleep, and she's up at all hours of the night because it still haunts her to this day. And she talks about they put her in confinement all by herself and stripped away of clothes, no food. It was cold, dark for over 24 hours, and it really mentally messed her up. And a lot of people I saw online are like laughing, like, oh, poor rich girl, blah, blah, blah. You don't really have it that hard. But no matter who it is, whether you have $1 million or nothing, it doesn't matter. Like, torture is torture, you know what I mean? And she actually has other survivors from this school that were like her classmates and stuff come onto the docu and talk about their experiences. And they talk about as well sleeping one night in bed at home, and these people just like come and take you and rip you out of your bed and take you to this place. And then she says how she thinks the people who worked there got off of hurting them physically, emotionally, sexually, everything. And she talks about how they would like watch you as you would shower, and just disturbing and sickening. And of course, Provo ended up selling, and now they're known as something else, but the people that they sold to claims they have nothing to do with it. They don't know what happened back then. But Paris really talks about how when she was in confinement all by herself, and she said that what got her through was in her mind, she would make up these ideas of who she could become when she gets out and how she's going to act and like this role she's going to play. It's almost like she used manifestation. Like she played a dream in her mind as she was awake. She went into a dream-like state in her mind and pretending she's somewhere else. She's going to create someone else. That way she never has to relive these moments again and relive this trauma again. And I think her playing this like dumb blonde, this whole Barbie type of lifestyle or whatever, I think that was her way of coping. And then she talks about in the documentary too about how, you know, her sister is married with kids and she feels like she'll never get married because she's, you know, scared of commitment. She's terrified of trusting people. She didn't trust her parents for a really long time and still has a lot of issues. And I really felt for her because it's got to be hard being in that situation, not only with what you went through at Provo, but being in the place that she's at with her celebrity status, her like money-wise. It's very easy for people to want to take advantage of you, things like that. She also talks in the docu about how her boyfriends had beat her up and she thought it was almost completely normal because she's been succumbed to what happened at Provo almost as normalcy because that's where her parents put her. And I think it's cool how she shows in the docu how things aren't always what they appear. And she shows like on her Instagram, how her Instagram, she tries to make it look so perfect for her brand and things like that. But at the end of the day, they're not that perfect. It's so true because these 10-year-old girls are always looking for the perfect selfie, filter on filter on filter, and I'm guilty of that as well. Like that's kind of what everything's become, is comparing yourself to these images on social media that aren't even real. They're not even accurate. She also talks about how she almost feels guilty because she was the one who started the actual influencing world, and she almost feels guilty for it because it's taken such an extreme left turn and just has gotten so over the top and overloaded. And it's sad because now kids are on the social media. And it's funny because my daughter, my one daughter, she's going to be 9. She always begs me, why can't I have TikTok or Instagram or anything like that? My friends have it. And this is the exact reason why. I don't want her mind to be succumbed to all these fake images online at such a young age, because it really takes a toll on your confidence, and that's going to live with you forever. Confidence isn't something you could just change overnight, and I refuse to let her be exposed to that so soon. I think it's such a good documentary. I definitely recommend it if you have the time to be able to watch it. I love that she's finally exposing what happened at these Provo Canyon schools, which I want to look more into. That's pretty much what the documentary was about. If you guys have watched it or if you plan on watching it, let me know what you think. I want to hear your opinions. I love hearing them. I love you guys so much. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.